Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen here with Rita Giganti. Linda Armstrong will be along in due course. And this is your Daily Dose of Happy. We're so happy that you were able to join us today. And it's been a while since Rita's been on the show, so we're glad to have you back and smiling.
Good to
and
be here.
Good. Yeah, and
good to
you've been dealing with a lot of stuff, so just to have you here is just wonderful. And I know we've been getting letters, we've been getting emails from people wondering where Rita is and sharing how much they're enjoying the shows with you and Linda and me. In fact, I wanted to read a couple of them because they're kind of, they're pretty good.
Awesome.
So anyway, first one comes from Deborah, and she says, "This is not a question. I just wanted to express my appreciation." Actually, this one I'm going to save. This one was specifically aimed at Linda, so I'll save that one for when she comes back. But there was another one. Let's see if I can find. I got a bunch of things here from people. So, where is it? See, I got too many emails. That's the problem. No,
how do you do the show and do your email at this? I don't know how do you do that?
Well, actually, what I do is I take the text of the emails and I put them into a text document so I can kind of scan through them one after another.
Okay.
Because you're right. Otherwise, I'd be going nuts if I were trying to, do this without having that kind of advantage.
Sure.
But, I mean, it would be impossible the other way around, to say the least. Well, these are all the people who have sent in questions. Where's that one, though? There was one really important one that I wanted to share. Oh, here it is. Yes. This is from Katrina. She says, "Hey, Walt, I've been listening for at least a couple of years now. I've never written in before. Sorry about that. I just wanted to thank you for what you do. I enjoy listening because I feel like I'm hanging out with you guys. There are always excellent lessons. My favorite shows are with Cindy, Linda, and Rita, and you are all fantastic. So I hope you have a great day." So
excellent,
Katrina. Yeah,
love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I love that too. We're getting a lot of really positive, reinforcing emails lately from listeners.
Wonderful.
Yeah, really
wonderful.
Good.
What's going on with the or should we not say?
No, you can say.
Yeah, the next step, which would be TV.
This is actually being filmed for TV. This is going to be on TV.
Wow.
We have been on as of the time that we're recording this. Now we record I'm doing shows about a week in advance, a little bit more than a week in advance. So as of the day that we are recording this, we've been on local cable access this is the completion of 2 weeks right here.
That's great.
So, yeah,
that's
really,
great.
Really cool. And I don't dare say that I know that there's a trend, but I'm seeing hints of a trend that suggests we're getting an increase in overall listenership of the podcast.
Wow.
Which means if that's true, now I've seen spikes before in listenership. That does happen.
Right.
But if this is a spike that actually stays, I think this is probably coming from new listeners on cable access who are downloading the app. So if that's the case, thank you guys for tuning in. This is really good.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Here comes Linda. Hello, Linda.
Hey, everybody.
How are you?
I made it. I'm here.
You made it. Hooray.
Yeah.
Well, good, because I wanted to share with you, too. I just read an email to Rita from a listener who was expressing appreciation to the three of us, and I wanted to share another one that came in regarding the show that you and I did last week. Came from Deborah, and she says, "This is not a question. I just wanted to express my appreciation to you and Linda. Loved your latest discussion. It shifted something for me. As with all such aha moments, it's not really that any new information is being imparted. It's something in the knowing and energy of the speaker, or in this case, speakers, that makes you hear something differently and really resonates. And of course, that you're in a place to hear it. I heard so clearly that we're spirit living in a body that's there's so much magical available to you, so much magic available to you when you're really connected to that truth, that you are spirit. So if you are that, then you can connect to that which is outside of you, that is spirit, working with you and for you, and trust. That in and of itself gives meaning and purpose to your life. Spiritual beings have a human experience. Trust is a message that is coming to me all the time at the moment, and that I'm really opening up to and understanding how to let go and go with the flow, which used to be just words that sounded good, but until you actually live them, they remain as just concepts. As Abraham always says, words don't teach, only life experience teach. So thank you both so much for those wonderful pointers towards our innate knowing and truth I'm so appreciative of your tireless commitment to this work. How about that?
Fabulous.
Really,
Beautiful.
really good. So thank
Yeah.
you so much for sending that in, Deborah. Yeah.
That
And
makes you feel fabulous, doesn't it?
it does. Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of reinforces like we really are providing a great public service by doing this.
Yep.
And I thought we were just doing it because we liked it.
That's the best part.
Well, it is. Yeah, really, when you come down
Yeah.
to it.
That's the best energy, right? Spreading that joy and high vibe, you know?
Oh my God, I know.
Absolutely.
When I don't work, I notice, this past week and a half or so, I couldn't work because of my arm. And, today was actually the first day I worked, and I felt so much better after working because just, helping the people today that I worked with, I was, put me back on a high again. I just noticed that when I don't, I'm sure people can't wait for a day off, they think to themselves, oh, I can't wait for 2 days, 3 days just to have off. And I think to myself, that's about all I can do. And then I need to work again because of the way it makes me feel, So just
how I
goes
look
to
at
show you when you love what you do, it's not a job.
And you know how I look at that is like when we're working for other people, we're always connected to spirit, right? But when we're working for other people, we really tune in.
Yeah.
But we don't always tune in just for ourselves.
Right.
So we're not holding that degree of a high vibration all the time. But when we're doing our work, it's like we swimming in it.
Yeah.
We're swimming in it. Yeah.
Yeah. There's no pain. There's no anxiety. There's nothing. There's just, that pure connection, and you're getting the benefit of that as you're working with that person. So it's awesome.
Well, there's really nothing better than doing what you love. I mean, as you
Absolutely.
alluded to a moment ago, and it's just fun.
Yeah.
It isn't a job anymore. It's not work, really. I mean, we
No.
call it work, but it's not
Not
work.
at all.
No.
Not at all.
It's
Ask me
almost
to
like
write
when
a
you
paper, and that's work.
There you go.
That scares me, and I wrote a book, and still, I was petrified of that piece of it, but, the work itself is just, I feel like I'm playing it like a child, You're just on the playground again. And that's the beauty of it.
Well, tell you what, we've been, kind of piling up, questions from people. So why don't we put you to work?
Okay. Let's get a question. You ready,
Yeah.
Linda?
I'm ready.
All
Let's
right.
get one in here. Now, a few of these have come in over the last few weeks. So if you're the person who sent the question in and you're just hearing it, it's because, well, we just haven't been here as a threesome for quite some time. But we're going to get as many as we can in, as usual. I mean, obviously we can't get everybody in, but we'll get 2 or 3 in today. And this one comes from Keiko. She says, hello, I've been listening to Elevate Today for a while now and love the chemistry of all of you. Thanks so much for a daily dose of happiness. I am overall happy, but I have been working on my weight for the past several years and nothing is working. Also, I have lost my part-time job. That was in last June, actually, due to COVID, and haven't had any breakthroughs as yet for my career. I've been overall positive, but today I'm really down, the day that she sent this, obviously. At least I want to see if I'm going in the right direction. I feel stuck. So if you have any insights, I would appreciate it. Thank you, Keiko.
It's interesting because the visual that I get for her, she's in mud. Like I see her feet in mud. And, for some reason she thinks she belongs there. Like I don't know what, how when someone feels, either guilty or, they don't necessarily, I've experienced this where I'm like, well, if I move forward, what about my family? What about, like leaving somebody behind, that kind of feeling. And so you don't move forward when you should. She has to really take her foot out of the mud and one step in front of the other. The weight is a long standing emotional battle. It even has come over from a past life. So that's something that has to be dealt with either with past life regression or hypnotherapy. I'm sorry, I shut my phone. Or something to that effect because it's long standing for her. And it coincides with how she feels about her worth, her own worthiness. And so then, we lose the job because of COVID. We have this feeling of unworthiness. It all kind of ties in together. But they're showing me her taking her foot, like she's actually picking up the leg, taking it out of the mud, and putting it on the ground and moving forward that way.
So is this a metaphor? It sounds like it's a metaphor, pulling her foot out of the mud. Yeah,
because she's stuck there, like she stuck herself there. Like there's nobody is, it's not coming from an outside force. Or she may think like, oh, something, somebody's put a hex on me or, something, but it's not that. It's she put herself in that place. And I don't know if her moving forward, this is what I get, that somehow someone's left behind if she moves into this other direction that she would like to move into, and she needs to do it regardless. You know what I mean? Because it's not just stopping her growth of work, or it's stopping her soul growth, which is the most important piece.
So that suggests, especially tied in with what you said a moment ago about the weight issue being a long-term thing, this last bit also sounds like it might have been a long-term thing, something that she's been kind of carrying or blocking.
It's all tied in. That's what I get, that it's all tied in together. It's not something, though, that would take years, months to fix. It's like, it's a matter of being aware, taking the action to help herself, and boom, the door opens, and then it just happens.
And I'm getting the impression from what you're saying, she knows what this is. This is not something.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Even if it's not on a conscious level, it's on the subconscious level. You don't always have to know what something is. You just have to want to release it if it's holding you back. You don't necessarily have to know the story. Because some people go, no, I want to know the story. And then they keep the story going as if it still belongs there. And it doesn't. You don't necessarily need to know.
Anything to add to that, Linda?
Only thing coming to me is just maybe to ask the question, like instead of blaming COVID for the work part of all of this, ask the question like, okay, so how is this actually for my benefit, and what is it leading me towards that I've been denying myself all this time? So that might be an area to look at. Like, okay, what's actually good about this COVID thing? How much did I actually love the work I was doing? Or is there a different way or a better way or something way that I would enjoy it more? Because the more she can get into that, enjoying even that aspect of her life, that energy can help her transfer that to empower her with the weight loss.
The word denying is the key word. She's denying herself, her own right to be healthy, to have a good flowing income. She's denying her right. The minute Linda said it, Spirit's like, hone in on that word.
That does sound like something that somebody would actually know. Like she would have some familiarity with what that thing is that she's denying. Because if you're denying that hard, you have some idea of what it is. Even if it's subconscious, you still have some idea of what it is.
Yeah. And you know what? Again, even if she came on here today and said she didn't know, I'd say it doesn't matter. You tell Spirit, whatever it is, I'm denying myself. I'm ready to release this now so that I can fully live again. That's all. Keep it simple.
Right. Doesn't have to be hard. We have this power to do this for ourselves.
Right.
As you have demonstrated with us many times on the show, Linda, because numerous times you've walked us through, releasing things, whether helping a particular listener or just doing it generically for everybody all at once. And it's always the same thing. It's never release this particular thing, ABC. It's just, I'm going to release.
Yeah. A lot of people think they might be doing it the wrong way or saying it the wrong way, but honestly, it's really about intention. And the minute you ask, they respond. It's not even the minute. The second you ask, they respond. That's all you need to do because you have the free will, so they will not intercede unless you ask.
Yeah, and the only thing blocking that are just beliefs and outside influence that tells you it can't be that easy. So then you can ask to release that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. It's become, if anything, this COVID thing should be teaching people things like that. Like it doesn't have to be so hard. It can be a lot easier than but then there are those who like to live in the strife of things, they like to live in that, because if they don't have that, they don't know how to live. They have to have something to, complain about or blame or this or that.
That's another program, having to be the martyr, right? Or living through drama. Like they don't feel alive unless there's drama. I mean, there's all kinds of programs.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And we've all experienced them to one degree or another. Like I don't want people to think that are on this listening thinking, well, it's so easy for you guys because you're not. Oh no, like I've experienced all of that. And it's the only reason why I can speak about it today is because I've experienced it, gone through it, and I'm out the other side, but there may come another time where that, I have another experience like that I have to face and have to move through it. So we're just saying that everything and anything is possible. So let's keep it simple. Why complicate? Things are complicated enough.
Yeah, I don't think we need any more contrast.
Yeah,
contrast.
You don't need to make up complications.
There's no right way. There's no right way. Find your own way and keep it simple. I've been saying that message forever. Yeah,
that's it. I was talking to a woman today who she was doing a reading with me, and she kept saying to me, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. I'm not trained in that. And I said to her, I'm looking at her energy and I'm going, lady, you've been trained like in past lives, like you don't need any more training. You just need to believe in yourself, so it was just getting her to the point where she understood that no, you don't need to take any more classes. She did the class, whatever it was. You just need to believe now and find the way you need to do it. Like whatever that is. I'm going to do a chakra balancing session very differently than somebody else who's knows chakras. You know what I mean? But it doesn't mean my way is the way and her way or his way is the way. It just means that's how we like to do it. Or whatever we're getting in that moment, that's what I'm finding more of now. Whatever you're getting in that moment with spirit, that's it. Yep. Call it chakra, call it Reiki, call it, massage. I don't care what you call it. It is what it is in that moment because that's what they need, Yeah.
And that's my experience too. Like I've learned all these different modalities. I don't do anything 100% how it was taught. I do it how it comes through when it comes through. Yeah. And I trust that, That's
the best way for you.
Right. Like I don't need to follow. I just follow the energy more than the textbook. Put it that way for anybody who thinks you have to know a certain way to do it. You don't. You take what resonates from all of the different learning teachings that you've done or books you read and all that. And then you filter it through how it works best for you.
I mean, the perfect example is just what happened before I got hurt and we were going to do the show. Spirit came to me. I'm reading all this stuff about the higher heart. And I hear, you got to do that for the show. Like, you got to tell people about the higher heart. People need to know that. I'm like, oh, all right. Like, you know what I'm saying? So again, it's part of the chakras, but not many people are taught about that particular chakra. They're just the 7 of them. And then that's it. So it's something I was given. Now we could share it with the world, and then you don't have to take a class to figure it out. Just read about it and it'll come, kind of thing.
one of the things that you mentioned in that description you gave, by the way, I love what you guys did there. You kind of tag team clarity in a wonderful way. But you mentioned belief. And as soon as you said belief, I thought of what Abraham says about a belief. A belief is a thought that you think over and over again. And when you mentioned that this particular person just needed, that you had been working with earlier today, just needed to believe in herself, to believe and to actually just go do it.
Yeah.
Just means she hadn't been trying to. If she had been trying it for a while and just, try, the belief would build up, wouldn't it?
Yes, absolutely. I had a priest tell me that same thing when I wanted to do the laying on of the hands. I thought you had to be a priest to do it. I didn't know anybody could do the laying on of the hands, right? Mm-hmm. No, he says, you believe? I said, of course. He says, well, then go do it. That was it. And that was it. I did it. It was like, okay, I just needed somebody to, I guess, reinforce that for me.
It's almost like you needed permission or something.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, that was a lesson for me. Mm-hmm. And Spirit put him there to help me see that. But the lesson was, if you have the belief, you can do it. You can do anything. More importantly, even when you're working, the person you're working on needs that belief as well, not just you, so that the healing can occur.
Well, isn't that a large part of what you guys do as coaches? You're coaching people to build up their own trust in themselves and to listen to themselves?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I want to be out of business by 2020. No, I'm just kidding. I teach everybody to do that. No, I mean, that's the greatest gift you can give somebody is that empowerment. Mm-hmm. That they know that they have that empowerment and that nobody can take that from them.
Very good. All right.
Yeah, and I just want to add that Rita and I are the type of healers that want our clients to know how to do it for themselves. Like, we're not holding on to the magic and not giving it to anyone. Like, some people might be that way, thinking that they're superior because they learned something or did something. Those people are out there. If you meet one of them, go find another one, because you want someone who's going to teach you how to do what we do for you for yourself.
I mean, I've heard horror stories of people laying out 15, 20 grand because someone said that they can get rid of a spell that was on them that.
Oh, jeez.
I was like, oh my God, where do you go? And what lawyer do you go to and say, this lady conned me out of 20 grand because she said she could take a spell. That's like, you just threw your money in the toilet. So just be careful because you want to make, it's not, and that's what, makes it bad for all the other healers out there that are doing it, from their heart, from their soul level. But there are people out there doing that, and you have to be very careful that you're not, taken by that.
I guess I feel fortunate in that all of the people who I have interviewed here on the show over the years who are coaches of various kinds or psychics or, whatever, the various kinds of skills, they all say the same thing. Anybody can do this. Everybody's got the same ability. It's just a question of developing it. And so to hear you reinforce that, that's what the good ones say. Well, first of all, it makes me feel good. I have the good ones on the show. I like that. But second of all, it makes sense. And I can just speak to my own experience. I mean, Linda, since she's been on the show, has helped me a great deal in terms of trusting my own abilities. And I'm finding I'm able to start pulling them out a little bit. Maybe not as much as others have, but that doesn't matter. I've been able to pull them out. That's something.
That's right.
Big deal.
How much of it, how long, how this, how that means nothing. Because you're on your journey. Your journey is yours, right?
That's right.
So that's all you have to be concerned about. Not if anybody else has 25 degrees in whatever, healing arts and, they got a PhD in this. It doesn't mean anything.
Fortunately, it's not a competition.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And also you start to trust it the more you do it and have the experience. You're like, oh, okay, I could do that. Right. And then each one of us finds our own unique way because we're all unique to have that come out. And of course, like is going to attract like.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. That's a very important point. That's the basis of the law of attraction. All right. Let's pull up another question then. This is from Brenda. Brenda says, I want to know what you see in my daughter's future. This month she has moved out of the house. This was actually sent last month, so this would be 2 months ago. Her father and I are happy for her and see it as a growing experience, but we are concerned. For years, she has dealt with depression, anxiety, low self-esteem, panic attacks, and insomnia. She also has medical issues which may be related to her mental state. We wish for her to be a happy and well-adjusted adult, but she seems so unhappy most of the time. I've tried to be upbeat, but it can be hard when there is so much negativity around her. So what can you tell to Brenda? She says thanks in advance, by the way.
Well, listen, I grew up with all of those things that her daughter is experiencing. And first and foremost, her daughter needs to want help, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. It's so important that she recognizes that she may need some help. And then help her to decide, if she's in an anxious way, try to help her to decide what would be best for her moving forward, to help the anxiety, to help the panic, and so it could be a combination of things, and that's what I'm feeling for her. It's like a combination of metaphysical stuff and potentially, and I'm not one to advocate necessarily medicine or anything, but if you need it, you need it. And I don't not advocate, and I don't advocate. I just say that there's a place for everything. And sometimes it's necessary. So what happened?
We still see you.
You do?
Yeah.
Zoom is acting funny today, so we'll just kind of...
You know what?
Acting funny.
Sometimes if you click on the Zoom icon, it'll come back.
Okay. So, I think open communication for her is the best. For me, I didn't have that growing up. So, kind of everything was swept under the rug, and it only gave more anxiety to the situation. I think open communication is so important. But I think she needs help on both ends at the moment, because what I'm feeling is she's not completely stabilized. And so there may be a chemical thing going on, and there's a reason why there's a chemical thing going on. I'm seeing her gut being an issue, the daughter. I'm seeing her gut being an issue, which could definitely relate to the chemical thing in the brain that goes on, because 80% of anything is in your gut, right? Your immune system, all your serotonin, dopamine, everything gets made through that area. So there's several avenues that she can look at. One would be definitely not a nutritionist, but maybe a functional medicine doctor, where they can take it from, they're an actual MD and a functional medicine doctor. So they can see it from both perspectives. And then she needs a team, this kid. She needs a team of people that can help her get to the point where she's more stable so that she can move forward. That's what Spirit is bringing in.
When you said both ends, what did you mean by both ends?
Meaning the medical end of it and the metaphysical end of it.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. Like both have to be addressed. The whole thing has to be addressed. We can't just address one thing. It's like when you just address anxiety, but you don't get to the bottom of the anxiety. So, we can take pills forever, but let's get to the bottom of it. And then if you still have to take the pills, that's okay. But, you may not have to, right? You may not have to. So
I kind of feel too that maybe her being out on her own now, she may come to this for herself rather than she might, if she sees it for herself, then she'll probably be more likely to really go along with finding what will work best for her. If she's always felt like, who knows, maybe like people think there's something wrong with me, then she might ridge against all of that, even though there might actually really be something wrong with her. But who wants to hear that, right? So you start to ridge against it and you start to reject help. So maybe now that she's on her own outside, you're worried, but you have to kind of trust too that we all come here for a purpose and we all know what's really truly for us in some way on some level. So maybe this is what she needed to be able to see it for herself and to ask for it herself.
It's a miracle that she's experiencing all this and moves out. That's a miracle right there. So that tells she has the strength to do it, So she needs the support system, the right support system. And I think, I can feel the energy of it. It feels like she can move forward from this. It really does. So, but I can tell you this too. When you feel if the mom's anxious and the dad's anxious and they're running around being anxious, the kid's going to be anxious, because she's going to think, shit, something's really wrong. You don't panic till you have to panic.
That's a reminder that the best way you can help somebody metaphysically is to do it from a high vibe space rather than from a low vibe space.
Right.
Yeah,
especially low vibe space, you're reinforcing low vibe.
And especially if she's highly empathic, which can create a lot of these problems,
right?
Then it's going to just make it all that much stronger.
She's definitely empathic, and she's also a bit different than the rest. Than the rest of her, a little bit of an older soul. So a little bit, even older than her parents in the soul sense, So that's not easy.
Nope, it's not easy. And the thing that's not easy is trusting somebody else is on their best path for themselves.
That's true, especially if it's your child.
That's the hardest.
Especially.
Yeah.
Right, that's yeah.
Yep. So, okay. Good stuff there. Really good. Now, I have another one from a regular listener, one who appears often on the live stream, Josie. And this actually happened about a month ago, but it was a fairly traumatic event for her, so I wanted to bring it in here and make sure that she got an answer from you guys. She said her dog of 15 years named Apollo passed away on the morning that she sent this email. She said it was absolutely devastating, but he died in peace next to Josie's mother. And she wanted to see if you could possibly connect to him and see if he has any messages for her.
The dog?
Yeah.
Do you know how old Josie's mother is?
I do not know.
So the dog is a beautiful animal. He's saying to me that I had to make sure I got here before Josie's mother. I don't know what that means. Is she ill or anything?
I don't know.
Okay. It's not that I feel like anything is happening now. I'm just saying this is what I heard from the dog. I had to make sure I got here before Josie's mother. Linda, do you get anything from that?
No, but not at first, but that kind of feels very true in that dog wants to be able to be there to greet whoever in the family, continue that role.
Well, it was the dog's time. It wasn't like, it was definitely the dog's time, but it was very clear what just came in. So I don't, it was like, I had to make sure I got here. Like the dog wanted to make sure it was there before, her mom, which the dog was 15. I can't imagine it lasting. Yeah, I can't imagine it lasting much, but the words came in very clear. So I don't know exactly what that represents, but the dog is also with their mom a lot.
Currently.
From the spirit world, connects to her mother a lot. So, it's supporting her somehow. Mm-hmm. It's supporting the mom.
chances are that's probably meaningful to Josie in a way that we don't necessarily know about.
Yeah.
Something is clear.
And most likely the dog feels it can support her a lot better now without the 15-year-old body.
I'm sure. Which would make the dog, what, like 80 something years old or something along those lines.
I don't know, that number changes. That changes all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Wow.
Well, if you do it 7 years for a human to 1 year for a dog, that would be 105. So that's a pretty long
Damn. No wonder why he wanted out. Let me fly. What is this? Yeah, it's a very soothing energy for her mother. So that's the dog is. I mean, it was Josie's dog, but I don't know why it's so connected to the mom.
Well, apparently it is, regardless of what the reason is.
Right.
Because everything is about the mom here. So.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, good. That's helpful, I would think. Hopefully, Josie's getting some good stuff out of there. How are you doing on these questions? I've got more to ask, but I don't want to overload you.
What do you got?
444.
Ooh.
It's a nice way to end a reading.
Yeah.
Ah, what does it mean, Linda?
I have to look it up.
Jeez.
But
you don't have it at your fingertips?
Whenever there's the repeating numbers, for me, it's just always a good sign. It's like spirit giving you a message in some way, shape, or form. Because why did I look at it at that point when Rita was just finished saying what she was saying?
All right, now look it up because now we need to know. It could be for Josie's mother. Josie or whatever.
Well, I got a question for you. While Linda's looking that up, Jeffrey's got a question from the live stream that you can answer for him. He says,
Sure.
Do you have any general advice for us empaths in these times of great emotional stress and uncertainty?
Yeah. I have to tell you, what's his name?
Jeffrey.
I have to tell you, I was finding it very hard at the beginning of all of this. And what I began to do was take the time every day to read something or watch something that was mindless or funny, or something that captured my energy, or it would, and I would do an hour of whatever it was, whether it be singing, dancing, reading, watching all like bloopers from a show or a comedy thing. And that began to help me like loosen the energy, like not take in what was going on around me. But I'm a big, believer in Epsom salt baths. Grounds me like immediately, like even if it's 10 minutes with some lavender, I'm immediately grounded. Everything's out of my body. Like anything I was even thinking of holding on to is gone. So those two things were very helpful for me. Yeah. And you got to do it every day. There's a lot more going on. If you're not an empath, you won't understand as much. There's a lot more going on, even little things underneath things. Like, you know what I mean? It's kind of like layers. Mm-hmm. But we feel all the layers, the empaths, whereas maybe a person that's not an empath will only feel the top layer and go, so what's the big deal? You know? And I'm going, but you don't see like those 10 other layers under there, and, you know, you don't feel that energy. And I mean, you gotta know that right before, you know, November 3rd, I mean, it was berserk.
Well, you could cut the tension with a knife in this country.
I mean, Mercury was in retrograde. I mean, you know, I was almost happy it was in retrograde. It felt like something slowed down, please, you know. But yeah, you can, you know, and that's why the other thing is I stay away from social media. I have to put my stuff on there to put out there so people see if they want to join me for something, but I don't go on there for any other reason because there's so much hate, even within families. Like I noticed that, you know, like someone's not talking to this one because they voted for this one or this one. I can't. It's like, that's enough. You know what I mean? Like I just wanted, sometimes you just need a slap, just snap out of it, like from the movie, you know?
Yeah.
So I think that, I think those things might help him. Drink a lot of water. That's another thing that I found
that's critical. Yeah.
Really critical, was the water intake. And, you know, everybody has a different thing with that, but I find that half your body weight, but your ideal body weight. So if you're 100 pounds overweight, you're not drinking half your body weight. What's your ideal body weight? Then you drink half the ounces of your ideal body weight. Otherwise, you're going to overdrink. Your body won't be able to handle it. So, does that help? Linda?
I would hope so.
It must be 100 things that you do.
You know what? The only thing I'm doing these days is I just call in light and I just send it out. I mean, what else is there to do? So I'll do that like, I don't know, 10, 15, 20 times a day. I'll just, whenever I think of it, I just breathe it in and send it out. Because to me, that's the energy that I work with. That's the energy that can help anything. So that's what I've been doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes you feel better because every time you connect,
right,
you feel good. And then when you're sending that out, well, that feels good too. It's like, what else can I do? It's the only way I can help.
Well, now if everybody got on that horn and did that, we'd be a very different, earth right now.
Yeah.
So or even not everybody, even if a significant size of the population, it doesn't have to be everybody. I mean, get a tenth of the population doing that would be magnificent.
Well, let me tell you, a lot of light workers are doing that. So, there's hope.
There is.
Absolutely.
All right. So 444, you are surrounded, and this deck I have here on my phone, I don't have another one handy right now. It's a very simple one. Okay. It doesn't go into much detail.
Good. I like simple.
There's one website called Sacred Scribes, I think it's called. And you can get lots of in-depth stuff on numbers. But anyway, 444, you are surrounded by 100,000 angels. Miracles are before your eyes.
I love it. I love it. That's awesome.
Very good.
Yeah.
And that's another thing. I've been getting a lot of numbers, and every time I get them, I'm like, okay, everything's going to be okay. We're all good.
Yeah.
And that's important too, because I mean, for myself, I've always liked numbers, but I never really was concerned about whether they were spiritually significant. But I know a lot of other people do. And if you really find that they're significant, then guess what? They really are significant.
Yeah.
It's a very individual thing, I think.
That's for everything.
How do you connect? Yeah.
Right.
If you connect, you connect. It doesn't really matter why. You just do.
Right.
So go with the connection.
Absolutely.
All right. Let's see if we can bring in another one here. So we did Brenda's. We did Josie's. Let's bring in this one from Lily. She says, first and foremost, I want to thank all of you for answering my questions the last time that she sent a question in. She said, you'll recognize this one. She says, Spirit wanted me to look into acupuncture, which I did, and the universe brought me one of the best down the street from me. The acupuncturist has not only been able to help me physically, but she is so insightful that I feel I receive therapy during my sessions as well. So pretty cool.
Love that.
Now, she has a question. Her question today is about her beloved stepdaughter. She had a hemorrhage in the brain about 10 days before she sent this email. And at that point, she was still in ICU. This is a while back, so I'm not sure if that still holds true. She says, I want to know if she will heal completely back to a normal life. She's 24 years old.
I feel like she's already made progress. So, but it's a work in progress. That's what I'm, they need to do a laying on of the hands for this kid. Yeah. Like ask family members to, like, you know how Linda says, send out the energy?
Right.
Well, ask, members of the family and friends too, and even her friends to gather at a certain time. They don't have to be in the same, they're not going to let them all in the same place.
Right.
But to gather at a certain time and call in whoever the belief is that they're connected to, and send her, I'm looking at gold energy, That's the energy that I'm getting is gold. Green is healing, gold is healing, pink is, it's just what I'm saying. So, they want to do it and hold the energy till it feels like it dissipates. Cause when you feel like, okay, so when you send the energy to somebody, it doesn't matter where it is around the world. You can be all over the place to send energy. When you feel the energy dissipate, it's either spirit telling you, okay, we're done for the day, or that person saying, I can't hold anymore. I'm done for the day. Okay? And so I need to explain that, because if you don't feel it, it doesn't mean nothing happened or is happening. It just means we're finished for today. And then you can go back and do it again. That will help this child so much.
And even for those people who will think, but I don't feel anything because they're just not in tune to feeling it yet. Like Walt, you used to think you didn't feel anything.
Right.
Just the intention of sending it and just feeling for yourself, just sense for yourself whether you feel it or not. Don't get caught up on the words feel it. Just know when it's done.
Yeah.
Just trust when
it's done. And just visualize, you just visualize that light.
But I want to add,
go ahead. No, go ahead.
I want to share for that person, a story, and I probably talked about it years ago on this show, but we had like an impossible situation with a family member. And, that family member was in, California. And then we have family members around the world, right? I made up a mantra that we would meet at the same time, no matter what your time zone was. We all met at the same time, and we would say this mantra wherever we were. So in the beginning, we started doing it all connecting on phones and doing it together, but it didn't even have to happen after a while. We're like, well, just do it at the time. Make sure we do the mantra. Exactly what I set up in that mantra, it happened. It came true. And I don't want to share what this situation was, but it was like an impossible situation. Where you would think there was no hope for what was happening. And the whole thing went away.
Wow.
Okay. Perfect example, Linda, because that's the reason why they're saying to do it. Perfect example. Because it's showing them, if it's the will of this kid, she's 24, she's a kid to me. If it's the will of the kid, it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Bottom line. So we gotta put it out there for her so that she knows. And there are no coincidences. You have that story. You told it. It came in the way it needed to from spirit.
Yeah.
I hope she gets this. I hope they do it. And I hope we get, I hope we hear from her,
Yeah.
And I mean, we could send energy to this kid too, We don't have to know her.
Yeah.
To send it. So.
Because it's energy. That's how energy works. So when you hold, it's like you're setting up the container for this solution or this, however, just see her healthy and thriving in her life. That's enough. And you hold that space so that she can pop into it.
Right.
I love the fact that you brought it back to the way you kind of started, Rita, when you mentioned that the person that you're trying to help has to want it. Mm-hmm. You can't really help somebody who doesn't want it, but if they want it, doing this kind of energy transfer thing can be extraordinarily successful. Lots of documentation, lots of experiments people have done.
Unbelievable.
Every weekend there are groups. I think there are actual Facebook groups and other groups that are dedicated to doing healings every weekend, and they have
every weekend. It's fabulous.
Yeah.
All around the world.
Yeah.
I want to thank all of them because even I've been part of that kind of stuff, but it's nice to shout out a thanks to all those that we don't even know that are helping us, all of us, the collective, get through this time. It's beautiful.
It's nice to know that there are so many people willing to do it, first of all.
Yeah. Oh, we're all getting called. There is no one being left out at this point. It's like Spirit's calling every healer, every psychic, every medium that wants to do this work. You're getting called out. Let's go. because we're in need of it. We're
Yeah.
in need of it.
And I love the fact that we're talking about how effective it is. I mean, I had a direct experience with it. With listeners will know about this with my cat a month ago. My cat went missing. Turned out he was attacked by a predator. The vet fixed him up as best he could, but said it's 50-50 on whether he lives. And I put out messages on Facebook, please send your prayers and your energy to help him heal. And by God, within 2 or 3 days, bang, he was back. It was quick. It didn't feel quick at the time. At the time, you're living second by second. But when you look back on it, it was quick. It didn't take very long.
It's great.
Yep. Good stuff. That also reminds me too, because we've been going through some questions that people have sent in over the last few weeks, because we haven't been together, the three of us, for a while here. But we're not limited to people who send them in the past. If you have a question you want to send in that you want us to address, or any of our co-hosts to address on any of the 5 days a week that we do the show, get the LOA Today app. If you don't already have it, get that installed, because in the goodies section, as we like to label it, there is a page, a form that you can fill out for sending in a question, or you can actually just send in a comment. That's where a couple of those happy comments that we received from readers came from. So take advantage of that. Fill in the form, identify who you're asking the question of. I'll make sure it gets added to the list for when that particular person's on the show. And, well, who knows? You're going to be perhaps the next person who is quoted, helping to solve your problem or address your question, or maybe just share the fact that you're loving the show. We like those too. We like those a lot.
Yeah.
They're good. They're really good. So all right, let's get one more in here, and that should probably fill us up for the day. So I'm going to go to Sarah. Now, Sarah actually posted this on one of our YouTube recordings. She said she loved the episode that she recorded this message on. She said the examples make everything so much more tangible and understandable. So, and she's referring to the episode that we had Carlos on. So she was appreciating the story that Carlos was sharing. She said, Carlos's story makes me think of the situation a very good friend of mine is in. She finally bought a place of her own, but then got laid off. She has been looking for a job for over a year now. COVID, of course, isn't helping at all. Her self-esteem, which was never high, diminished even further over time, and she worries a lot, holds anger in she can't seem to express, has a lot of tension in her body, and feels low a lot of the time. She says, I'd love to get a read for her in pursuit of a way for her to move forward and upward. So what do you think? Is this something we can really help with? I mean, again, we're doing it through a third party here, so it's a little bit, we have to make sure that the other person's really on board with getting better.
Yeah, that's the feeling that I'm not sure if that person's on board. You know, it feels like we're in a martyr situation here. So, like slowly have to introduce her to other things, and before we can, can't invade the space. She's not ready. It doesn't feel like she's ready. Yeah. Unfortunately.
That's a good thing to remember. Before you try to help somebody else, ask them if they want to be helped.
Yeah. You need that permission.
Yeah.
You need that permission. Guys, I have an appointment, so I have to jump off, but I want to thank everybody that listened today and the questions and all that. Linda, I missed you guys for 2 weeks.
Yeah, we missed you too.
We're
And we'll
glad
see
to
you.
have you back.
Yeah, we'll see you next week. Maybe we could talk about the higher heart next week.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's make that the first segment next week.
Okay, cool. All right.
Good.
Bye, guys. Thank you.
We'll see you in a week.
See you,
All
Rita.
right.
Bye.
I'm glad we brought this part up, Linda, about how important it is to ask for that permission, because it actually is kind of offensive to help somebody who isn't asking for help. We don't really think of it that way, do we? I mean, we
Right,
think
like
that, we're just being helpful, but it actually is a little bit offensive.
Yeah, because we're assuming that there's something going wrong for them. What if that's exactly going right for them? We don't know their soul plan. We don't know, what a tough time might birth for them. That's why, Rita I kind of felt that too. I don't know if this person is asking the actual person. Yeah.
It's actually a way, I think, to demonstrate respect for each other by asking for that permission. And when we respect each other, first of all, it helps to bind the relationship stronger, or as strong as it could be, depending on how you want to look at it. But secondly, it's a way of reaffirming how much love and respect we have for the other person. That we're not here to impose a healing or a good vibe on somebody who doesn't really feel like they need it.
Right. So, like, you don't get confused too with this asking for permission, because you don't have to like go and ask the person face to face, voice to voice over the phone. You could, when you want to send this energy out, just ask their soul, you know, do you want this help? Would you be willing to receive this? Like that's what Rita was doing. And Rita was feeling that she wasn't really asking for it herself. She didn't get she didn't get that open feeling that was exactly what was happening. So you don't have to ask them verbally. You can ask them energetically and see what you feel. Like you'll be able to feel it. I know it might sound foreign to some people, but you'll get a feeling. A lot of times you know things and you don't know how you know it because you've got a feeling about it. Okay. So you could, and if all, you know, it never hurts to send the energy anyway. If you're just sending energy, supportive energy, sending guides and angels to help that person through their thing, it doesn't hurt to send that energy, because they'll either take it or they won't. It's never wasted. It'll just bounce off and go to somebody else. So you can ask in your own mind as you're sitting in and connecting to the feeling of that person, the image. You could have a picture of that person. Maybe you want to connect to them that way. And then, and just kind of ask, like, are you in need of help? Are you asking for help? You know, am I invading if I give you help? You know, and ask those questions, see what you feel. And it's your choice whether if you get a no, I'm not really ready, whether you want to send love, just send love, because, you know, there's no wasted love. It either goes to that person or goes somewhere else. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. There's a big difference between sending love and directly intervening.
Yeah.
And
so actually,
distinction.
I'm getting a message right now too, and that you might, like, say you really want to help a good friend of yours, and oh, I lost it. What was it? They could be asking for help but not want to admit to it either. So that's why you really have to feel your energy around it. Because you might ask and you might get a no, like face to face. You know, they're like, no, there's nothing wrong with me. I don't need any help. I got this under control. But, you know, but you're going to have to try and feel. Well, that's why you want to connect to their soul. Like, what does the soul want for this person? You know? It's always about, you got to just sense that energy in the best way that you can, and just trust that what you're sensing is real. Because the more you do that, the more you'll be able to find your own way of filtering and sensing energy. Like you're saying, Walt, you're starting to feel it more and more where you never felt it before.
Right.
And then you start trusting that more and more, and then you know what it feels like when you connect to something. You're like, oh yeah, no, this is totally right. Because I've had those other 10 experiences where I had this feeling and it was blah, blah, blah. I was on the right target, or I was picking up I was reading the energy correctly. So then you have more confidence and you're like, okay, yeah.
That's true. It does the confidence comes with experience. I know that early on where I wasn't feeling it, that's where I would have been much more reluctant to try to provide help for somebody, because I wasn't really sure of what message I was getting anyway. But you're right. As I'm learning more and more how to recognize when a message is coming through, then I feel more comfortable about. So
rather giving your friend a list of rehab centers or whatever that they might totally reject, just send them love on their, you know, that they sort this out for themselves and they find the solutions that are best for them. Yeah, and that you're there to listen to them, not to try to make them have to be a certain way. Because then you'll get further. Then they'll actually ask you for the real help.
That's good. That's a good way to draw to a close on the episode. So thank you very much. Appreciate all of your insights as well as Rita's. Thank you to our live streamers, and especially thank you to our podcast listeners as well. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.